and we're back from the break, and we're going to talk about chaos. So I'll hand over to Terry, the expert in all things pusty.
Yeah, so there's no surprise here that I'm going to talk about Nurgle. I wanted to do something completely different, but enough's changed in the Nurgle book, I think, with the points and to actually, talk about some, quite useful sort of bits with the list and potential upgrades you could do to it. So obviously the list before was the 3 Grand Clean one Thricefold build. So obviously 2 Grand Clean ones in Rotigus, 30 Plague Bearers, 10 Plague Bearers, 10 Plague Bearers, 5 Blight Kings, and then the 3 Endless Spells, Pendulum, Spell Portal, and the Geminids. And it came in at 1980. So obviously with the new points changes, Grand Clean ones have gone down 20, Plague Bearers have gone down 10. So there's enough room in there to change it up a little bit and potentially put in Horticulus, who's obviously going to help with the summoning points throughout the game. But I went with Belakor just because I painted a really nice one while I've been off of tournaments and stuff. So I want to get him on the table, and I think he's going to help a lot with some of the lists we're going to be seeing sort of going forward.
I was going to say, you painted a nice one, but he's also so good.
Yeah, I mean, I painted him for the hobby aspect, obviously. Yeah. But the list is still similar in that you've got the 3 Grand Clean ones and the formation, and then I've dropped the Blight Kings out, so it's 30, 10, 10 of the Plague Bearers. I've actually slotted in 9 Untamed Beasts.
Yeah.
Obviously you get your pre-game move from these, so it should help a little bit with some of the Alpha Strike lists, like things that obviously are 1-drop that are just going to appear in front of you. But obviously Belakor can help with this too, because if their whole army revolves around using the bridge or something like that, they've got to, make that 5-up roll, which Belakor can obviously cause them to fail casting and fail moving, and every time you want to do an action you've got to make that 5-up. So suddenly if you're playing something like Nagash who's going to try and teleport around, or the city's army that's going to bridge forward and just try and shoot you a lot, suddenly that battle plan might be out the window if their wizard or Nagash has just stood there doing nothing for a turn. And because it's until your next hero phase as well, if you go first, get into a good position, they take their turn.
You got low drops.
Yeah, it's 4. So you got formation 4, 5. No, it's up to about 5, 6 now. But I think you're low enough to still not be too worried. And the Untamed Beasts do give you the pre-move, so you can obviously try and block off some area that someone's going to come into. But the strength of the list is still obviously your tankiness. With the new
turn quite easily, can't you, as well?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying with Belakor, if you go first and then you reveal Belakor in their first turn and you win the turn roll, you can obviously give them the turn, and Belakor's in effect for another turn. So it lasts until your next hero phase. So you could have 2, turns where Nagash can't do anything, for example, or you're playing Fire Slayers and they've got their big block that stood there, until turn 3. You've probably won the game because they're never going to get to the, to the objectives at that point. So you've shut them down with Belakor, and you really haven't had to do, too much other than just take your first turn and move.
Just for people who don't know, so Belakor, it's before the game you pick a unit. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then when you reveal him, you sort of say, "Oh, I'm going to use his ability." When do you do that? Is that in their go?
It's in the start. I believe it's the start of their... it might be at any point in their hero phase. I'd have to double check that. I thought it might just be the start, but
then every time they want to do something, they have to roll a 5+ to do it, right?
A 5+, yeah. So and that's move,
like
run, charge,
cast a spell,
everything.
Move, fight. Yep. Yeah, so it's effectively you'd have to roll. If you just wanted to move, charge, and fight, you'd have to get 3 5-ups in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is quite a low chance, obviously.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah. The only thing it doesn't affect is the use of command points, basically.
Yeah, I suppose that's not an action, is it? It'll be in his list of what things are actually affected. I'll
And,
double check on the command
he's
point
an ally,
one.
right, in your army.
Yeah, he's obviously allied in. Fits in nicely.
And just a question as well for people who don't know, because I know you use Thricefold a lot, but that's obviously got a lot of different effects that. So maybe you just want to explain what that does and why the Great Unclean
Yeah,
are good,
so
and
with
what artifacts you've gone for.
Yeah, so with the Thricefold itself, it's 3 Great Unclean ones, and that can be any combination. So you can have 3 Great Unclean ones or 2 and Rotigus, who obviously counts as a Great Unclean one, which is what I use because Rotigus' spell is amazing and he's actually quite tasty in combat. They're all the same price as well, so I think you would always have Rotigus. So you get reroll ones to hit if the Great Unclean one is within 14 inches of another Great Unclean one, and reroll ones to hit and to wound if it's in range of the other 2 Great Unclean ones. So you can sort of run them around in a little triangle and they'll all buff each other. The Plague Wind ability does D3 mortal wounds, but if it's in range of another Great Unclean one within 7, it's 2d3, and then again, if it's all 3 of them in range, it's 3d3. So that only affects the damage. So Plague Wind obviously does damage and heals, Nurgle stuff, but it only ever does D3 heal, so you can't get a 3d3 heal running through yourself from a Plague Wind, which you don't really need once you get the wheel and the Great Unclean one's innate healing as well. So you can get 3d3, but obviously not through Plague Wind. And it combos obviously with the spell portal. So Plague Wind's only got a 14-inch range, but with the portal, I believe it's 39-inch range. I'd have to double check because obviously you got the inch gap between you and the first portal, then the 18-inch between the next portal, plus the 40mm base of that portal, and then the 14-inch line you can draw, from that point. So you can snipe characters turn 1 with a Plague Wind through a portal, which is obviously what I've done
And the
to some great effect.
Trace back to the Great Unclean one model.
Yeah, so you pick a point
so
and then
like
that's...
a triangle, can't you?
Well, yeah, effectively. And then the point always goes back to the nearest Great Unclean one, point on the Great Unclean one, so it's in a straight line between him and the point you pick. Obviously, you can get it through multiple units and your own units if you need to heal anything. It's amazing with the spell portal. I'm glad it's still 70 points because it fits in nicely. Artifact wise, you've got the Muck Talon, which you have to take because it's part of the Munificent Wanders host, which is obviously the new host in the Everchosen book, which gives Nurgle ignore the first point of rend in combat for any Nurgle demons, which is amazing because it effectively makes your Plague Bearers a 4-up save against stuff with rend. And then obviously your Great Unclean ones are a bit more survivable as well. And the command trait that you get is amazing. If an enemy unit within 12 of that Great Unclean one, the general, rolls a 6 to hit, they take a mortal wound back. So I've had demon princes and stuff run in and kill themselves, and I haven't even activate. They've piled in twice, done their 16 odd attacks, whatever, and killed themselves by rolling too many 6s to hit, which then frees you up to go and fight something else. Again, that combos weirdly with the Witherstave. I've had people ask why take them both, because obviously the Witherstave makes your enemy re-roll 6s to hit. So I'd rather be hit by less 6s, and then it's just there as a fail-safe if they do happen to get a 6 through for the second one.
Especially 6s and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, when a Terrorgeist comes in and rolls 3 6s to hit and does 18 mortal wounds, I'd much rather them re-roll that than take 3 mortals back.
I actually get to go to a Gristlegore Anonymous council group like 3 times. That's why I haven't played Warhammer for so long. It's got nothing to do with the outbreak. It's just Gristlegore.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've all been Gristlegored, haven't we? I got Gristlegored.
Well, I haven't because I make them re-roll those 6s. I'm quite happy to take those Terrorgeists to the face. I mean, with the Witherstave, I've had games where Nagash has charged in. He's rolled a 6 of his big D6 staff, re-rolled, missed. Rolled his sword, bunch of 6s, re-rolled, missed, and then does no damage. You're like, oh,
Then did you
All
just
right.
take him off in a one-er with the
Then
sword?
just take him off in a 1-er with a great and clean one, you know.
Yeah.
Against OBR and stuff like that as well, it is an absolute joke. Like there's quite a few armies that really care. Like all they care about is those exploding sixes for whatever reason.
Yep.
Especially if you debuff them with minus to hit, because your minus to hit from your plague bearers doesn't get around exploding sixes, but that does.
Yeah, so if they're like spirit hosts and things, they're looking for those sixes to actually do anything, and then they have to re-roll them all and do literally nothing.
Yeah.
So they're, you know, amazing, but obviously in shooting they still do suffer. The grey and clean ones do. The plague bearers with the -2 aren't too bothered, but you know, it's you don't. I think with these shooting lists that are going to be coming out, obviously Caradron got some points changes. I'm quite looking forward to see what happens with these. But I know, having played Caradron quite a bit before, when they drop down, if they don't kill the grey and clean ones, the game's pretty much over at that point, because you've got to kill all of their stuff the following turn. The little 2-wound bobble men, and once the boat's emptied and all the little bobble men are out, they're pretty much done, because plague bearers mod them quite nicely.
Have you played them since they've changed it? Because they've changed significantly in the terms of the way they drop and deploy, and they shoot from the boats and they fly high.
Yeah, so I have only a few times the sort of the last a few events. When was the change? Oh no, maybe I haven't played them in a tournament yet. Was it January, the change?
It was quite recent, so it was when the Zinch came out. So I haven't had a chance to play against them yet. So the way that they fly high now, and they can fire from the boats and stuff, so they're very different to the old clown car list.
Yeah, it'd be quite nice if they do fire from the boat, because you can get 30 plague bearers around a boat quite happily, can't you? And then kill the boat with all the mortal wound output, and then
Flies high then.
Well, if it dies, everything has to deploy in that little hole, doesn't it? Or it's dead.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be much fitting in that hole.
I think one of the things worth noting about the list, which you kind of touched on there, it is way faster than anyone thinks, right?
Yeah, Great and Clean ones move 16. Just, why not? So move 5 plus the wheel for 7 plus the bell for 10 plus your run 16, and you can obviously charge because you got the trees, so you can effectively get a 28-inch charge off turn 1, which I did at Chris's event back in March, the last event where I charged a catapult, an OBR catapult turn 1 at the back of the board with Rotigus. Guy was like, "You what?" Yeah, 28-inch charge, mate. I'm in. So
they're obviously the fastest Chaos faction, though, aren't they? So it makes sense.
Yeah, there's some Slanesh units that are a bit quicker, but not that much quicker though. To be fair, because a lot of it doesn't have run and charge. Where obviously all Nurgle has run and charge if there's a tree nearby.
Yeah, because that's what I think of when I think of Nurgle, like as fast as Slanesh.
Gardening, speed, that's all I think of.
Yeah, gardening and being in the odd opponent's deployment zone turn 1.
Well, you've got to remember, it's like a jolly jaunt across the table. They're all very happy to skip through the garden. I just had this moment when you were talking about the demon keyword and Munificent Wanderers, about Puscoil Blight Lords, and I want to go and write a list.
Well, yeah, because the drone is a demon, so the Puscoils do benefit from it, but the Blight Kings on the ground don't, unfortunately.
Yeah, you just take plague bearers for your core, don't you? And then you take those in the cyst with Great and Clean ones, so you get the run and charge with the bell, and then you've got the bodies, and then you've got Puscoils that ignore rend and bounce wounds back. I'm all over it.
How does move work on the Strange Beastie unit? Is it like 2d6 or 1d6 or a normal move? Or
how does what work, sorry?
The
pre-game move.
Untamed Beasts.
It's just a normal move.
Cool.
I had it in my slaves list. I had 2 units of them. I thought they were really, really good.
Yeah, so the other option was Gutter Runners, or you can take Ungor Raiders, because you can obviously ally Beastmen in as well. So Ungor Raiders are another option, because they get a similar thing.
And they are D6, so are they random distance?
I'll have to double check on that one. The
Ungors are a normal move, but the D6 ones are really worrying to play with, which is why I asked. It's so much.
I rolled a 1. Shit.
1, great, cool.
Yeah. Would you get to add the 3 for the bell though? Oh, they're not Nurgle, are they?
They're not Nurgle. And there's no way you can get Nurgle anything, is there? Because Ungol Raiders you can mark Beastmen with
Only if you take
keywords,
the
but I believe it's only in the formation, yeah. So you can't even get Nurgle Ungol Raiders. If you could, that'd be amazing.
It's a really strong list. I reckon it's one of the best team event lists in the game.
What, that Nurgle list?
Yeah,
I think it's just
if you can have the spell portal.
I think it's just one of the best lists because like it was good before, and then you've got points drops, Belakor, and Munificent Wanderers from the Wrath of Everchosen and Slaves book, which is all recent additions, plus the protection from Alpha Strikes with the Untamed Beasts. But you've still got the bodies, you've still got the Thricefold, and you've gained all this extra utility, and
everyone else has lost realm artifacts as well, and obviously Nurgle has amazing artifacts, so that's
essentially what you've done is all your plague bearers have got, all your demons have got tankier. You've got a mortal wound reflect to help with the damage output. You've got a piece that now shuts down a key piece of their army, and you've got protection from Alpha Strike. So basically it's the same list with all those benefits rolled into it.
Yeah,
it's top tier now, right? Isn't it? It's top tier.
Yeah, I think so.
You know.
I think it's one of the strongest lists in the game at the moment.
It'll be interesting to see how it works once we get back into events. It still has some weird one-drop bad matchups that can just gun the Great and Clean ones off. Once they are all dead, you do lose all your damage. But if they do spend all that time shooting the Great and Clean ones, and then you've still got your Plague Bearers left, you might actually be able to tank the game out just on Plague Bearers if you get on the objectives. In some of the scenarios, you're going to struggle. The Scorched Earth of 8 objectives was hard before. That you spend over 1,000 points on your 3 Great and Clean ones, and now you put Belakor in as well, plus your endless spells. You're already at like 1,400 points before you've got your battle line down. Another option with the list is that I've seen people floating around is take the 3 Great and Clean ones in the formation with the spell portal, and then take 90 Plague Bearers. So you just take 3 units of 30, and that fits in 2,000 points. You don't have the flexible stuff of, Belakor, but you do have 90 Plague Bearers, which is no small shift. A problem with the 30s is they do get bogged down quite easily. You just got to tag them with one eel unit on the corner, and that 30's not going anywhere. And if you can block yourself in, and then you're stuck. If because your Plague Bearers aren't really going to have anywhere to move, and they're just sort of pinning your own stuff behind them. So I do like the 10s.
I think out of the 2 lists, I think the one with Belakor is infinitely better.
It will be better.
Yeah, I was thinking then about even if you played Lumineth, you're like, well, Teclis can shut down stuff, but it's just like you then mitigate the damage that Teclis does by stopping him with Belakor.
Yeah.
Teclis is going to probably dispel your either the portal or the vortex.
Nurgle suffers in Magic because it only has +1 to cast from the 2 Great and Clean ones when they use the dagger, which is why I've put it on both of them, and I haven't taken the flail. There's no extra way to get any other casting, so you're pretty much everything's on 6s and 7s. So
it's always been the challenge with Nurgle is that it's 7 to cast, and it's like that's not that reliable, and the spells are so good. You're like, oh, I really need that spell, because I always found that when I was running Nurgle, if you have a bad magic phase, it has a massive impact on your turn. But I think that list is great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I've been playing it to death now for a year. Now it just got better, so I'm quite happy to get it back on the table, and everything's painted already. It's all sat there, ready to go.
Cool. All right. Well,
you have to do the Untamed Beast.
Oh yeah, I've got to do the Untamed Beast, or I put another endless spell in, don't I?
No.